When I started listening to podcasts, I found that the episodes that I really love the most are the ones where someone's telling a story. There was no one doing it like that. So I figured, okay, I'll just do it myself. And that was 5.5 years ago.
I'm Botter.
I'm Blythe, and we're the co-founders of the Jax Podcasters United.
And this here's another episode of our local Podcaster Spotlight series hosted by JPU community members Phil and Eric.
Eric from the Wait For It podcast here at the Jax Podcasters Unite Podathon. That's happening here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're meeting a lot of great local podcasts that are supporting a great cause. And we're going to get on to our next guest. If you could give us your name and the name of your podcast to start off.
Absolutely. My name is Scott Johnson, and I'm not actually local. I'm from the Tampa Bay area.
Nice.
So sort of local in Florida.
Neighboring, for sure.
Yeah. And my show is called What Was That Like? And each episode is a conversation with someone who's been through something extremely unusual, like a plane crash or a mass shooting or an animal attack or, something like that. The guest just comes on and tells the story of what happened.
I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories that probably come from that. What got you into having such interesting conversations with guests like that?
I found when I started listening to podcasts, I found that the episodes that I really love the most are the ones where someone's telling a story. Yeah. And especially if it's a true story. And that's what I verify. All of my episodes actually happened. It's all true. And when I looked around, I there was no one doing it like that. And at least not the way I would want to hear it. So I'd already been podcasting since 2012. So I figured, okay, I'll start it. I'll just do it myself. And that was 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, and still going strong, which is awesome to hear. I'm sure you've had so many conversations, it's hard to pick just one. So even if it's a recent conversation, is there maybe a conversation that sticks out to you, whether it was your favorite or maybe it was just like, man, this is why I podcast?
Man, if, just as a qualification to be on my show as a story that I'll cover, it has to be a super interesting story,
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like saying, who's your favorite kid,
Exactly.
But no, I would probably, one of the ones that really stands out is with a guest whose name was Dan, and he is in Alaska, and he's an outdoorsman. He's always been out camping and, spending his life outdoors. And he was, one time when he was outside in the woods, he was attacked by a grizzly bear.
Wow.
And and the episode was great because he's a great storyteller. And it's just an unbelievable story. So yeah, that one, usually if somebody says, which episode should I start with? I usually send them to that one.
That's a good one. Yeah. So that's exactly what we're doing here, which is awesome. You've obviously had so many years podcasting. Is there anything in particular that kind of becomes a challenge, especially when you're having so many guests on, you're having so many different stories that are being told? Is there anything that, like, when you're doing an episode, you're still kind of working to improve upon or isn't quite right yet?
I'm always trying to improve. And no matter how long you've been podcasting, there's always ways to improve. When I first started, I had a hard time finding people because I'm really picky about what makes an unusual story, you know? So I was constantly looking in the news, watching Inside Edition for, they cover weird stories, people have been through weird things like that. And I made a list, somebody who was struck by lightning or, just weird things like that, and try to look for news stories and contact those people. I've kind of, the audience is big enough now that I'm kind of spoiled because most of the stories come from the audience now. They pitch me a story. I still have to reject most of them, unfortunately, because they're just not unusual enough. But yeah, I'm constantly trying to find new stories. I don't think I'll ever run out of content just because
he's great.
Weird stuff happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Scott's making my job easy because he's a podcaster already. I'm sure getting people on for the first time, scheduling, those things can definitely be really challenging. I'm really curious, Scott. We were talking before you came on a little bit about your experience with the JPU, came here last year. Mm-hmm. What kind of brought you to the Podathon here today? Was there anything in particular that brought you here to the JPU?
Yeah, I'm with the local podcasters group in the Tampa Bay area. It's called the Florida Podcasters Association. And that's run by Chris Kremitzos, who is the organizer and director and founder of Podfest.
Podfest, yeah.
Podfest Expo. So usually in December or several months prior to this, he's making the rounds of all the different cities promoting Podfest and all that. And I like to promote that, and he's doing it in Jacksonville. He's here tonight. And so yeah. And plus I have family in Jacksonville. I got a place to stay. So
there we go.
I play with my nieces and nephews and come out and meet a bunch of podcasters.
Easy enough, right? And we appreciate not only you letting people know about Podfest, which is a great event that me and my co-host have had the pleasure of being able to go, courtesy of Buzzsprout, who's also here today.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, and your support as well for feeding Northeast Florida. That was really much appreciated. So I'd love, Scott, to give you the last 30 or so seconds here just to tell people not only where your show is, but if there's an upcoming episode they should keep an eye on, or a project you're working on, or where you're going to be next.
Sure.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. As of, I don't know when this is going to come out, but the next episode is this coming Friday. It's with a woman named Rosie. She's from Australia, and she was a witness to a car hitting a pedestrian.
Wow.
And it was a 15-year-old boy who was just, he ran out in the street and boom. She had a unique point of view because she was a passenger in the car.
Wow.
Her husband was driving. So that's coming out this Friday. My podcast is called What Was That Like? It's, it's on any podcast app or at the website, whatwasthatlike.com. And also, if you have an unusual story, I'm always looking for unusual stories. So I'd love to hear from you. I read everything.
Scott's your guy, and we truly appreciate that. What's That Like? Make sure to check out not only that show, but at the Jax Podcasters Unite, all of the local shows that are here in Jacksonville. Scott, you've been a pleasure. Thank you again so much.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for having me.
Yes, sir.